ghetto of Paris. People always think, oh my gosh, you're Parisian, and they get excited as soon as you hear your accent. Oh my gosh, you're French. But I grew up in the ghetto of Paris. People don't see. I didn't see enough representation of me in the media when I was younger, especially in Paris. Like, it's only when I came to London, I watch TV and you watch EastEnders and you realize anybody can be an actor in this country, which is amazing. Ability to just take a leap of faith. And I always say that fear is a liar. If you listen to fear, it will stop you from following your dreams and doing anything that you want to do. And again, so get comfortable, believe in yourself, always a plan, just don't dream about it, will help you where you want to be.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Inspire Podcast with myself, Karam Kang, where we bring you the leading content across business and entrepreneurship by discussing real lives with real life successes across their industry. Today we're really excited because we're joined by a lady who founded 3 Colours in 2008, which is a branding and creative agency with neuroscience expertise. She also founded Tech London Advocates in 2019, which supports Black females into technology markets. She's also been advisor to major institutions such as BBC, HSBC, said London Business School and Facebook. And LinkedIn recognised her as one of the most influential business leaders across all females. Recently, she was invited to the Palais de l'Élysée by the President of France, Mr. Emmanuel Macron, and the President of Ghana, Mr. Nana Akufo-Addo, and to discuss business opportunities across Africa. And our guest today is Miss Flavilla Fongang.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. You make me sound so amazing.
No, you are. That's why we're very keen to get you on.
Thank
you. Thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate we gave a bit of a background there, but is there anything you want to add to that, just for our guests to know a bit more about you before we really get into the backgrounds?
I guess what we can say in terms of my role within 3 Colours role, I'm the main brand strategist and I'm also international speaker. So my job is to really help people create brands. And people ask me, what's a brand? Is it a business? I say, think about a coffee shop, think about Starbucks. Which one do you want to be? Starbucks, right? One people choose to buy from. So that's the idea. And I think the pleasure of what I love to do is to make an impact for the dreams of my clients, which is so much fun.
Great. And one thing I really wanted to ask you was one thing which was different about your business. You focus on the neuroscience part. Yes. That sounds cool. Can you tell our audience a bit about that and how that separates you from other marketing and creative agencies?
Absolutely. I guess I need to give you a bit of background. When I was, so I'm French, as you can hear from my accent, and when I was at university, I studied, one of my modules was psychology, and it's always fascinated me how much, impacts in terms of, understanding how the brain works impacts our decision. And I think most time we believe that we are rational individuals, but we are not. We make decisions based on emotion, how we feel. When you look at someone and say, oh, I think I like this person. It's never about, yes, I've checked their background, I've looked at the CV and so forth, and decided I'm going to engage with that person. So for me, it was important to articulate and use neuroscience to help our clients, speak not only with the mind of their customers, but also speak to, the heart of their customers. And that's where the neuromarketing came into place. So I started doing my own research. I'm very much a firm believer of you need to be a constant learner. Yeah. So I self-taught myself into neuromarketing, write a lot of books, and to understand what works, and went through a number of advertising campaigns, see which one were working and what were not working. And that's how really the whole idea of positioning ourselves as a neuromarketing agency and branding agency, understanding this, the psychology behind colors, even, or choosing a name, or even just a typeface, every single details matter in the decision that we make when we choose to engage with a brand or not. And I think it was important for me to choose that angle because I saw so many people doing it wrong. Yeah. And I have so many examples where clients people will come to me and say, hey, Flavilla, I want to create a healthy brand and use brown as a color. That's probably not the best color to choose. Or I want to create a luxury brand, you use orange as a color. Things like that are so simple, but again, just the language and everything else. So neuromarketing, excite people because when I do public speaking, it's very experiential. So I get people to play with me and they can see how much of what I ask them to do, or sometimes they can't do it, and then demonstrated how, bigger brands who obviously work with larger agencies have been using that, I wouldn't say manipulating, but to get people to do what they want to do more effectively.
That's really cool. And before you start that, you obviously touched upon that you're originally from France. You moved here in 2002.
Yes.
And one thing we love about this show, we really want to get into the background of entrepreneurs. So can you take us back on that journey from when you first moved over to the UK? I read about you that you tried out several jobs as soon as you graduated before finding your feet. Talk to us about that move.
Yes, when I came to London, I didn't speak a word of English. So I've always been that kind of person that if I can't, something that I'm not comfortable with, and I say that as part of the mantra of the Black Women in Tech Network is that get comfortable getting uncomfortable, because the magic happens when you get out of your safety zone, if you can say that. And so I came to London in 2002. I didn't speak a word of English, but I was keen to do something different. The idea was to stay only for 1 year. It's been more than 1 year I've been in this country, and was, before coming to London, something that was already obsessed with studying before. I used to be a bit of a tomboy, fighting with boys, getting in trouble. You wouldn't believe that now when you see me. And so I left university, and I did a double degree. I have a BA in economics and law and a BA in marketing communications, and an MA international business. What no one had told me is that having degrees is not enough to find a job, and that's why obviously a lot of students nowadays also struggle and end up. And that's why I always give a space in my agency to give interns, place to to learn, because I know how hard it was for me. So I try to put myself in their shoes, and. So I did all sort of jobs, from door-to-door sales to translation to working at Debenhams and all sorts of brands. And I remember the job that I finally found at the beginning, but she didn't choose to hire me because I thought that, she's too qualified, she's never going to stay. And it was, I must say, what I had to do, I had to choose a different angle. Say, I'm going to start taking a lower role, but what I'm looking for is a company who's ambitious. And if you're ambitious there, I'll be able to progress very fast. And that's what I loved about London, that you don't have to wait a year. In France, you have to wait 2 years within the same role before you can even apply for another thing. In England, it's like, bam, okay, you're good, let's move to the next role. And I really like that. And so the job I applied for, they turned me down. And then a month later, they came back to me and said, actually, we want to. And it was me and my ego said, no. But they insisted on an interview. So imagine going to an interview where you're actually interviewing your next employer, which was quite fun. So I negotiated my salary, of course, and I took this role. It was a receptionist/customer service role, but I still took it. And in the space of 2 years, I was then managing the department and also implementing a lot of tech tools to what I like to call being smart lazy. So if you can use technology to help you do work faster, so you can focus on better customer experience, then let the technology do the admin or the redundant stuff, and you can do that. And so then I ended up working for a conference company in oil and gas for 8 years. But for those 8 years, obviously the company grew, so my team grew as well. So having to manage bigger teams and also train managers. And what was interesting is that I already started the idea of free collars role when I was within the company.
Like a side hustle.
Exactly, side hustle, what I mean? Just to make sure. But I quickly realized that unless I had to go full time to really get the chance for this business to take off, because there's so much you can do on the weekends or after work, but you can't really give yourself 100% in your business unless you quit the rest and be committed. And I think this is ability to just take the leap of faith. And I always say that fear is a liar. If you listen to fear, it will stop you from following your dreams and doing anything that you want to do. And again, so get comfortable, believe in yourself, obviously plan, just don't dream about it. Will help you where you want to be. So I did, finally took the leap of faith, quit the job. People said, yeah, you're never going to do it. I said, watch me, watch me. And I said, oh my gosh, you left. Yes, I did. And then the rest was history. And again, so Free Colors was born first as a consultancy. So the business has evolved itself. It was born as a fashion consultancy. So I was really helping individual their personal brand, clothes and appearance, but also body language and so forth. And then naturally, I always like to tell that story of how the transition happened. It was my ex-boyfriend was a plumber.
Okay.
And plumber, half Nigerian, half Scottish. So it was funny when people met him, thinking, who is this guy? Didn't expect this. And he always had on his website, he had a boiler. I said, what do you have a boiler on your website? That's not what people buy. I said, well, that's what I do. Well, okay, of course they expect you to do this, but that's not what you're selling. What you're selling is obviously, when it comes to, you think about your industry, there's so many crooks out there. If they want to feel that first, that, if they can trust you, but also you understand why they choose to come with you. So the idea of, you come home with a nice hot shower, the experience of, it's the heating outside when it's cold outside. That's why you use as visual, but also given that element that you are, you have all this, all the I can say certification and everything that goes with it. And obviously that worked really well. I did this rebrand and I didn't realize it was a job. That's also something that you get. I think that's one thing about university or school. They don't really tell you all the job possibility out there. You have a standard accountant, engineer. 100%. And it's only until you really get into the real life or real work that you realize, there's so many other opportunities that jobs that I've never heard about. So really branding and being a consultant, transforming business into brand was a bit of a luck. And I realized that's something that I was really good at. And then one thing led to another. I was lucky enough to work with a number of big brands, but also small brands who had big ideas. And then now we decided to focus on technology because tech people are brilliant, but they're not good at just simplifying their language. And it's so much fun working with them because we can really see the power of the scale of their impact. And we very careful. I'm very careful in terms of who I choose to work with. I have to believe them in their ideas, and they're not trying to destroy the planet. They're doing something great for the humanity.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I love how, it's that transition falling into things which lead to bigger opportunities. And one thing you did mention was, ambition was clear. Yeah. Like, where does that ambition and mindset come from? Were you born with it? Was there anything that happened to you which developed that?
I think I got this from my mom. My mom has always been my biggest inspiration, even if sometimes she doesn't know it. I realized, you're my biggest inspiration. Fashion and everything. She loves the shoes. And I'm like, I got the same addiction with shoes. And so I didn't grow up. I grew up in Paris, but in the ghetto of Paris. People always think, oh my gosh, you're Parisian, and they get excited as soon as you hear your accent. Oh my gosh, you're French. But I grew up in the ghetto of Paris, that people don't see. So grew up with a single mother raising 5 kids. I'm the third child, the middle child. I had just one pair of shoes per year, so I had to be very careful. When September, school came, it's like, this is your pair of shoes. Yeah. Be very mindful. There's nothing else after that. And I think that's this drive to get more and doing it for, getting your mom out of a situation, because she made a lot of sacrifices. And she always told me that your first husband is your education. That with that, nobody can control you. So if you're strong and, you know yourself and you don't rely on anybody, then, you can choose and you'll always be happy. And I think that's something about life. That's why people put all their happiness into somebody else's power and they lose it, and then everything is lost with them. So yes, the idea is that I wanted something better for myself, and I think is also the need for me I didn't see enough representation of me in the media when I was younger, especially in Paris. It's only when I came to London, I watch TV and you watch EastEnders and you realize anybody can be an actor in this country, which is amazing. But then when you're in Paris, everybody's really white, or aging. Think about discrimination. But I love how you can be any age and be successful in England, and that was beautiful. And then I would say, the mirror projection was so important. So now it's my turn as well to keep on, bringing that mirror projection for young girls to think, oh wow, if she can do it, so can I. And I think I had that coming to London. I didn't have that drive when I was in Paris, because my vision of my future was very much, I'm going to be the assistant of a manager. Never, entrepreneurial was never something that you talked about in France. It's not very much in the mindset. That's why the French president struggled a lot, getting people to be more entrepreneurial, because people love the idea of just having a job, going back home and coming back tomorrow, and that's it, and just not pursuing a career for themselves.
Wow. And you touched upon there, not enough representation of yourself in the market, and obviously, you're doing work with TLA to support, ethnic diversity, such as Black women into tech markets.
Yes.
Talk to us about the vision and goal behind that.
Yes, good question. So when I first met Russ, I met Russ at a private lunch, and he was talking about technology, and I was already involved into it, but I haven't officially met him. I said, you should come to this event. This was one of my clients. And he was talking about how technology is going to create so much jobs, and there's not going to be enough people with a qualification to do the jobs. I'd be like, oh my God, it's crazy. And And so I went to a couple of, because TLA is a big group, so you have a lot of subgroups in different sectors or different focus. And I realized, oh my gosh, I'm still the only black woman in this room. What the hell? So I went to Rob and said, Rob, we need to do something about it. There's always something. And I know for sure there's over black women who are all in tech. Where are they? And with this, sometimes you don't find because there's no platform or community you can relate to. So I said to him, I want to create this group, even though there was already UK Black Tech and there was already women in tech. But then none of them focused really much on the black women. So you had, black guys coming, but not so much, or women coming, but not so much black women coming. So that's something I want to change. So the idea of black women in tech is to inspire, educate, and create opportunities. Inspire, so having more black speakers at our event, also get them at other events to speak. Educate, because I think there's also the idea behind imposter syndrome. People suffer because we always say about black women are not being represented, but also it's for also as ourselves to do something and put ourselves forward. So I really wanted to get this confidence to apply or do more things. And creating opportunities is the idea that you can come in a place, have different conversation, either about your career if you're not looking to start your own business, or find a co-founder, which is what happens. So people were very open and things that would have now happened if I didn't create this group, because you would talk to somebody who looks like you and say, this is what I'm doing right now. What do you think I should do with this? And that's what we have is regular. And I'm the only group that do this on a monthly basis, on the second Thursday of every month. They know it's happening. We have a program. I think it's probably the marketing person signing up. We plan everything in advance. So everything is organized. And we get as well, it's also an opportunity for them to meet other companies because we have different hosts every month. And we're lucky that bigger companies now starting to pay attention because they realize that they struggle to bring diversity and inclusion in their space, and they want to meet those women as well to see, well, we are pro that, and we would love you to think about applying for into our company. And I think that's brilliant, so it's still very new, but we now have about 500 members, should I say.
Already, that's really good.
Yes, so it's going fast. And just, I guess, it's just the idea of being consistent and being there, constantly in people's faces.
and that's great to see, because I know with my agency, we're constantly helping our clients to get diversity into their businesses, whether it's females, people from different ethnic backgrounds. And so with yourself on that, how do you go from, taking, getting awareness, getting groups together, 500 subscribers, to actually supporting them either into roles or, their own entrepreneurial journeys?
Yeah. That's a very good question. So when I launched, the reason why I launched the event is when I did a search and I was looking for history in terms of black women in space, and I couldn't find anything. I found a lot of black women in America, but not enough in the UK. So this is not right. So I started, the journey of starting was first to highlight that we are there. So they do exist. And I think that created a lot of momentum. So I always looked at, and this is what I've done as well with businesses that I work with, is that look at your customers as a community, because you can gain so much with, asking people to support your vision and asking people to embrace what you're trying to do, and people will actually help you a lot. So the first thing we did, we focused on finding and highlighting these women on a regular basis. Actually, the first months of the launch was every day we would highlight a different black woman and then tell about their story, and she felt very much like, proud of the fact that she was recognized, and that was beautiful, So I know the power of not being seen, in a room, and when somebody actually paid attention, out of them was very surprised, like, oh my gosh, you found me, how did you find me? I was like, we did, we found you, that's what we do.
You should do my job.
Yes, I'm really good at hunting information, trust me as well. When I do interviews, I ask like a lot of tough questions. So the first step was that, and after that it was very much a conversation in terms of voicing out what we're trying to do and asking people to support the vision, to follow us and share as well. So the approach, what I like as well with TLA, the TLA group, what Russ does, and I apply to our group as well, is that if you join the group, invite 3 people to the group. Yeah, it's a bit like a chain effect.
Referrals.
So exactly, referrals. Well, it's so powerful and it costs nothing. So if you bring somebody, and it's something we say, like, black women in tech is not just for black women. We actually want people from other gender and ethnicity to come, because then you can understand how it feels to be a minority in a group, how it feels to see things from our point of view. And I think that's one thing that I wanted to get across, but really much highlighting black women, referral, and also consistency in that communication, and using as well the power of social media. And And I think from that as well, what was great as well for the launch of the event, we had the only black woman on a rich list opening our show. And this was powerful because you could see we do exist. And she was telling us how she managed to build this multi-million pound businesses by embracing diversity. So when she's spending in India, she would take an Indian team. When she's spending in Africa, she would take an African team. And she understands the power of using different culture to really be able to connect with prospects. And that was so good, Powerful. And from that, I guess it's, the core of everything is always building, how much value are we trying to put, to offer, to give out to people. And naturally, people come and be interested in that. So that's what I want to do.
Perfect. And I just want to take it back a bit because, as mentioned, we really like to show challenges and risks in business. With Instagram, I know sometimes people think you can be a success overnight, and it's easier than it is because it's obviously glorified entrepreneurship and businesses. Talk to us about the challenges, risks, sleepless nights, which you've had, your business journeys.
I think that's the thing. There's no such thing as overnight success. It doesn't exist. And I think when people say to me, "I'm lucky," it's like, no, this is not like into this. There's work and consistency and believing in yourself and building your mental strength. That's one thing that you need to have. But yes, you're right. The sleepless night and and as someone said to me is that if you think about plan B, you already failed. There's always a plan A, but your plan A is about readapting constantly. So you know what your vision is, but realize that along the way, it's not going to be a straight line. It's going to be full of holes on a road that you need to, pay your pathway. It's about how you go through that. And I think one thing that I wish I knew sooner was also having again, we talk about mentorship, super important, but I think is that everything starts with the end in mind. When you understand where you want to go, focus on that and having a plan helps you, go through all the no's that you're going to get. So for me, if I didn't get any no's, means that if I didn't get anything, means that no no's means that I didn't try enough. I need to get no's to get to a yes. If I get negative, not negative, but people say I'm not interested, then I know that actually I'm doing something. Actually, people are engaging with me. That's why you look for engagement, and then after that, you know that you can start calculating how many no's you need to get to get a yes, and so forth. I think it's the ability to just understand that. I remember when I started, I had £2,000 in my account at some point, and I didn't tell anybody. And I only told my mom, was like, "Why'd you not tell me? I could have helped you." I was like, "No, because it's my choice. I put myself in this situation, and I take responsibility for this." And I think is when you take ownership for the struggle that you get through, is the ability to just say, "Okay, I messed up with this. What am I supposed to learn with this? Okay, this is working." It's being very fast and proactive and reactive as well in the situation that helps me keep on pushing myself. And again, another thing that I have, what I've used a lot is I'm cheeky. And I would say, and that comes from my mom again, saying to me, like, if you don't ask, you don't get. If you want a cookie, I'm not going to guess you want a cookie. You're going to have to ask me. And that's what we've done. If you don't ask, you don't get. So we've always had this approach and say, how do you get to work with the biggest brand? I approach them. Maybe if I waited for them to come to me, it would have never happened. I approach them an idea. If I liked it, they say yes. If I didn't, at least I know. And I'll push them with another idea or another approach, and I don't feel like I like them. But it's like being cheeky, consistent, having a plan. And I love that. One of my mentors have this thing called the money map. Okay. The money map is very clear. So you set for example, your monthly target in terms of revenue. And from that, you probably know already what kind of money is coming in. So let's say you have 5,000 coming in. So you have 15,000 more to make. And you divide that money by per month. So it means that you have 5K to make per month. But the idea is to write down every day how much money you've made. But keeping it, if it's something like, if you don't track something that you cannot measure, you can't track, you cannot improve. Yes? Yeah. And that money map has been so powerful. Obviously, I don't do it as much now in so much details, but if you had to track your revenue, even if you put a zero, keep on doing it, because that will keep you on track of what you need to do. And another advice that I was given as well is that you have the busy, you have a job, and you have a business. A lot of people sit in the busy, which is procrastinating and everything else. Then the business the job is obviously what you get paid to do, which is, for me, developing strategy and so forth. And the business is that all the activities that you need to do to actually generate a prospect. So think about, and I ask people, think about how much time of your activities are spent in the busy, which is everything else that is not helping you generating new clients. How much time is spent on the job? Can you delegate that? and how much time you spend on the business. And that's where, especially if you're an entrepreneur, where you should spend most of your time. And that's why a lot of businesses fail, because they spend a lot of their time in the business, the busy of a job, and they're missing out on anything else. Right. So it's a good thing that I've used. I always look at how much I can spend time in the business to attract new businesses.
That's really good advice. And again, we see your expertise is creative, branding, marketing. It's huge now, especially with digital landscapes, social media having that influence. If there's somebody out there today who's just starting up their own media and business company, or somebody who's a year or two in looking to expand it in those specific markets, what advice would you have for them, or trends to look out for?
Good question. I think first thing I would advise them is to pick a niche. I think people always think that, oh my gosh, I want to serve this and this and that. That's the biggest mistake, because the smaller you are, the less budget you have, and the more specific you are, the more it gives you power people to choose to come to you. So when people are looking for fintech agency, they come to us because we articulated that we have expertise in fintech. That's what people are looking for. Think about a GP and a surgeon. Who gets paid the most? Yes? It's a surgeon, because it's a specialist. So the GP just give you, vague advice on different things you want to do. Obviously, that's what they do. So pick your niche and be very specific. After that is really developing your thought leadership. Think about how you can talk about where you believe the market is going, and having great conversation like we're doing right now with people, really providing as much value as possible in terms of that. It's super, super key. But pick a niche. Don't be too greedy, because the more you choose, the more you stretch yourself thin.
100%.
And again, same thing. Very powerful.
That's great. And again, something we spoke about off camera was the impact of exponential technology. It's going to start having on every industry, particularly branding and media, like AI, VR, etc. What trends do you see over the next decade, that could have an impact? Again, could be worth, people keeping an eye out for?
I think definitely AI. I think everybody's talking with AI and machine learning, which is completely two different things. But I think AI would definitely improve and get better. I mean, AI is not a new thing. It's been existing for years. But I think nowadays we talk about it even more. So there's definitely a big push for ability for companies to be able to provide experiential, unique experience to their clients at scale. And only AI can do that, especially if you're a large company. When some of our clients are developing great, AI products that allows them to, the clients have 10,000 employees, 10,000 customers, million customers around the world. So how can you do that, unless you have a massive customer service? You can't do that. I think it's definitely something around AI. Blockchain, again, another thing. Around it, there's definitely a need for, a need and a necessity for blockchain in different space, whatever it is in healthcare. I mean, if you think about the NHS itself, the more we are putting all our data now on, for technology, so we definitely need to feel a bit more protected. And also now the crime is going to be much more cyber, and blockchain provide this opportunity to be more in control. And I think it's super, super key. So that's definitely the two things that I see. And I guess again, something when we talk about experience, so augmented reality is another thing. A lot of gamification. I think I see a lot of that as well. I'm working on a project like that. How can you bring people want to be entertained. People want to be entertained, so if you can entertain them before they even make a purchase, then that's a fun way to do things. And I think the ideas were behind gamification to connect community, which is super, super great.
It's crazy. I was just reading a book by Peter Diamandis, The Future's Faster Than You Think. And he thinks due to gamification and VR, there's actually going to be migration from humans who just want to live in a digital world.
Yes.
And that will happen over 10 years. You see some people play, PlayStations and games. I don't know what's the popular consoles out there now, but for days on end.
Yes.
And they believe that once, this is improved, by Facebook's VR technology and other businesses, people are just going to migrate and live out there and, we'll be living in a matrix.
It'll be interesting to see that. Because it's true, like my brother, for example, love his games and its ability to just also connect people. I think is what worries me is I don't want people to feel isolated and raise the level of mental illness as well behind that. So it has to be done in a certain way that is very, not ineffective to humankind. So for me, that's key that technology has to do good, not to create the opposite effect.
Great. And one point I also want to touch upon, which we spoke about off camera. You talked about your new offices. You're moving to central London, and one of the reasons for that is the team that you're building and creating. It's going to help you with recruitment. Could you talk to the audience a bit about managing, building teams?
Yes.
Looking after people.
Yes, this is not easy.
Yeah.
So I've been a manager for probably the last 15 years. My life I've been into management when I started looking after my brother and my sister. Because it's the first thing first. And first time I managed people, I always thought that management is about telling people what to do. And I say the difference between a manager and a leader, the manager would tell, gives orders, and the leader actually drive people to follow them. And that's why people, as a manager, should aim to be a great leader. And before I started my own business, my manager was a CEO, and he was very moody, and he wasn't really able to kind of get a sense of people's talent. And that's something that I wanted to change around. So the way I've always, I like my manager to be flat in a certain way. So from a point I say that I want you to be opinionated. So be able to, we value, I think it's a French thing, we love to argue. Like we argue and then we make up forgotten. Yes, that's why I find it very strange in English people, they avoid arguments. It's like, why are we not arguing here right now? Let's talk about this right now. And we can move on to the next thing. So I say, let's argue. So sometimes we have a different point of view.
Healthy argument.
Healthy argument, So yes, so agree to disagree and, give constructive feedback. And so the idea is that even when you build brand or come strategy, you might not agree on it, but let's talk and, agree to disagree and so forth. So first thing first, I wanted to, my team to feel that they can say what they want. So also their voice to be valued, even if they're not directly involved in a project. I want them to have their opinion on certain things. That's one thing first. Because nothing, I think especially when you work with a younger generations, millennials, they're very quick of shifting to one position to another if they don't feel like they do matter. So that's one thing first. And I also wanted to provide remote working. So because my office is based in Dulwich, so I have people in Luton, so she can choose to work from home or not. Because obviously we have all the technology in place to do that. And it's funny, I was talking to another friend of mine, she said she couldn't take time to work from home because she didn't have a child. She's like, this is terrible. How can you just reverse discrimination again and everything like that, which is silly. And so the way when it comes to managing people is to allow them to give them the bigger picture, but behind them allow them to do things the way they want to do it. So say this is what we need to achieve by the end of the end of the week or the end of the month. I let you come out with your own way. We have the process and system in place. So we need to make sure that we deliver, a service the same way. I think process system allows you to maintain consistency and quality, which is super key. And I think, if you keep all your ideas in your mind, that prevent scaling. Yes. And I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs do. They don't have process and system. You need to allow yourself to be, if I'm here, somebody else can take over the job. If I can't do that, then I always rely on me and I never stop. So process and system, allowing them room to, how to be creative, and at the same time always challenging them. So if they used to do something, if they used to doing A and B, I would give them a new task C. We've never done that, so that's perfect. That's how we're going to do it. And I think that's one thing that I love, and the beauty of what we do is that it's never the same. Every client is a different journey. We learn so much as well with them, and we apply it to different things, which is amazing. Right. So they feel constantly challenged. I think one thing, they feel empowered. They have some form of structure, so they know where we're going. Obviously, reward behind it, and the idea that once somebody win, we all win, and it's constantly rewarding and reward them for their success.
Great. And one thing I want to go back to is it's clear that you obviously had a very strong mindset and very tenacious when you get into bigger clients and setting up. Yeah. And it reminds me of something on your Instagram where you speak about waking up first thing in the morning, and your mindset is to always say thank you and have that gratitude for everything you've got. Can you talk to us about your routines, building your mindset, and the importance and impact that's had on your business and successes? Yeah,
definitely. I think mindset is everything, and I think again, something working in psychology and doing manual marketing really showcase how much of how we perceive or how we think impact on how we become. So my morning routine, I usually wake up about 5 in the morning or 5:30. depending on what time I sleep. I like to wake up early because I feel like I'm getting ahead of everybody. So that's very powerful.
Beat in the sun.
Exactly. Oh, come on. So I bought this new clock, which is because I used to have my phone as my alarm, but I thought that when you have your phone as your alarm, it distracts you when you start clocking and checking your emails, and you're out of balance. So you're focusing now on everybody else's agenda instead of yours. So I remove a phone, so I just have this beautiful light alarm, which is quite good, actually. Funny enough about that, I can set up my own voice.
Oh,
my sister thinks it's creepy, but it's quite good to have my own voice.
That's quite scary. I don't think I'd want my voice waking you up.
I'd be like, wake up, it's time to wake up.
We'll be in one of those VR Matrix sets that we spoke about earlier.
Literally, my mom was like, it's time to wake up. You can do this. I was like, it's your time to shine. It's like, so you are crazy. I was like, I know. So I have that, and then when I wake up, something is get out of bed, say thank you. So thank you for the time that I have another day on earth. And I'm grateful because we're so good at seeing what we don't have instead of what we have, which is health.
Yeah.
Be able just to see, be able to have a roof over our head, to have a team, to do what we want. Even as women, some women can't even do what I do. So I'm very grateful to have that, to take the time to do that. And that from that point, again, set myself in terms of what do I want to achieve a day, and set my goals or daily goals. And I like to read. I like to, I would say read or listen. So I love Blinkist. I don't know if you Blinkist. It's fantastic. It gives you like a summary of books, so you can listen to this audio or podcast.
Shortens book lengths,
yes.
So it summarizes them.
Exactly.
Okay. So
then if you want to read the longer version, you can read the longer version. But I like that. So give me a snip, like a very concentrated version of the content. So really, from the start, I'm like, wow, mindfulness or podcast, good conversation, and I like to listen. From that point, I feel like I'm energized. I'm ready to take on the day. And again, something focusing on the business and the job. How much time I'm spending on the business, how much time I'm spending on the job. It depends on the days and so forth. And then from that point, when the phones start ringing or emails start coming, that's only when I actually have my emails on. But first thing for mindfulness was in meditation. Something like a lot of people stress, especially what's going on right now. So a lot of people stress. So meditation is so much powerful, and the meditation that I follow is great because you have a sort of meditation. I think you have to find the one that works best for you. Try a lot of them, and the one I like is very much in terms of something you visualize a great moment in your life. Then you visualize things that you're grateful for, and you visualize the future that you want. Something if I said to you now, think about a red car. By the time you go out, the only thing you're going to see is red car. Yeah. So again, something like what you focus your mind into, that's what you get. And
a law of attraction. Absolutely.
It's so powerful. If you focus on bills, that's what you're going to get. You focus on I'm going to get new clients. It's a money day. Sometimes it makes it it's a money day today. Yeah. It's going to be a great day. And that's how it becomes, And then sometimes I used to be, surprised, oh my gosh, it actually happens. Actually, it makes sense it happens because I thought about this.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted. So, something is you want something, don't only go for it, but obviously focus your mind and act around it. And again, it's so important to stay focused, and your mind is your biggest asset. So if you see yourself, again, something, fear's a liar. If you let fear speaking, affect what you want to do, you will never achieve what you want.
I love that. And, I know, visualizing, meditation,
yes.
and having that routine from early, definitely impacts myself. And you see these constant things with successful people, and with yourself, where did you learn that from? That routine. What gave it to you?
Good question, and that's the thing we talked about. I was, I have a book that I'm writing.
Yeah.
And actually, again, something DNA. The people in Cameroon by nature are entrepreneurial. We're side hustler, if you can say that. We always do something on the side. So my mom always been, she was really good at just buying something and reselling for 3 times the price. So when the price goes down, she buys it and then she resell it online. So I was born in that, so naturally. But probably I didn't see it as a business. It was just a way of doing things. You have your money and then you do things on the side. And again, something my father that was not present in my life, but I reconnected with, had probably about 4 or 5 different businesses that he started. He was a jeweler, he was a tailor, he was a singer, he's now a herbalist, he had his own magazine. I think by nature, I've followed that. It's probably in my DNA. And again, something 2 of my sisters are also entrepreneurs, so they run their own business. So I think it's, something, if you're born in some kind of environment, you become one by nature. And I think as well I think for me, I don't mind being managed by someone, but it has to be great. And I think I was frustrated by being managed by somebody who just didn't have his leadership skills. And actually, I thought that the only solution for me was to do my own things. And I think that's what happens for a lot of entrepreneurs. They're just tired of not getting the where they want to be, or not having a great people who understand where they want to achieve, so they're doing for themselves.
Yeah.
Or sometimes entrepreneurs are also people who just see problems, and the solutions become their business. And I think people say to me, like, how do we start a business? How do I get an idea? Say, look into problems. That's how you start a business. If you think about the taxi, that's how Uber was born. You don't know how much it's going to cost you. You don't know what time it's going to arrive. And there's always a frustration of waiting outside. So now you just sit at home, you know exactly what it costs you, and then boom, pleasure. Again, something technology is about convenience.
Yeah. Great. And again, just going from, following you on Instagram, you can see, you make sure you mix business with pleasure as well. When you first start a company, I know it is work.
Yeah.
But talk to us about the importance of having that downtime, relaxing, and then getting back onto the hard work.
I used to feel very guilty of taking my weekends off.
Likewise.
It was like, because as an entrepreneur, there's always something to do. You're like, oh, I need to do something. I feel like, and I said, no. Can you realize that if you don't, yourself, you are as a human as a battery. If you don't recharge your battery and get your mind off work, it's like, that's why people employ me, because they're so in the business that they can't see everything else around it. And I look at them as like, okay, now you can see what is wrong with your business. So something for me, I need to get off work to be able to feed as well my creativity. So again, being around friends, having conversation, and sometimes, having just a day where we just have lunches and networking event or meetings, you learn so much of just not focusing on anything else. So I don't feel guilty anymore, and I think it's important and really encourage everybody who's an entrepreneur to do it. And the first few weeks, so it will be hard to be like, oh, I should do something, I should check my emails. Don't actually choose not to respond, or just be off for that purpose, that I need to recharge my battery and come back to it stronger, and actually fresh, and I'm good. And and I can see things, from step back a bit more, and then say, okay, well, this is actually didn't work, or this is what we can improve. But it's so important. And I guess, I didn't want to wake up and realize that the only thing I've done in my life is work, and I've lost all sort of family and relationship and friendship, and I did all of that for nothing. I have that money, I have nothing else with it. And trust me, I see that a lot, because I have, again, mentors who are millionaires, billionaires, and they have nothing, which is sad. And obviously they're waking up now in their 50s, 70s, and trying to do something about it. But I never want to be that person who has lost everything else, and not forget the reason why you do it. I think that's what it is.
Do you think taking that time off, relaxing for, a few hours a week or a month, ever impacts your business? And if so, is it positive effect or negative effect?
Definitely positive effect and impact, definitely. Because without doing that, you come back cranky. Even on Monday, you become, everything that your employees will tell you, you become so frustrated. You start making mistakes. You don't pay attention. And that's the little things like that we don't see. And the clients say, you slack, and you make some mistakes, or you don't respect your deadlines and stuff like that. And I think it's also something like, don't, as me having my own clients, it's good to kind of set up as well the boundaries. So because okay, great, we're going to do that. Expect feedback from that point, so they don't have to hustle you for information. And I think sometimes as employee, as client, with our clients, we forget to also stay in control of the relationship. So my clients say like, okay, so we're going to work for that. Expect to respond by that time. Yeah. So they're not behind me like, when are we expecting this? And then you put yourself under pressure, and you pressure as well over your entire team. But it definitely had good impact to just do that for my own self-care.
Yeah.
And also for the self-care of my business, and be happy. Because if I'm in a bad mood, then I ask everybody else in the business. And I don't want to be that. So they know me for being like, oh my God, you're so extra in the morning, on Monday morning. It's like, I'm always extra.
Because you've been up for about 5 hours by the time everyone else is there.
Absolutely, because usually on Monday I like to have a couple of report calls with my clients. This is what it is. Like, I've never seen somebody so excited on Monday. It's like,
yeah.
If you didn't have that Sunday off, I would not be excited. I'll just be.
It's horrible. Like Gary Vee says, if you're not excited for Mondays, then you need to look at what you're doing.
Yeah.
I think that's so true. You've got to be excited for every day.
Absolutely. I get really much like, oh, damn it, it's already Friday. That's pretty much what I have at the end. It's like, we're all like, it's already Friday. That's our thing.
Yeah. And just to tie in with that as well, the healthy side of mindset, I know when I spoke to your PA Sophie about what food and lunch you'd like today, she said just make sure it's healthy. You're very conscious about health. Talk to us about the importance that's had for you, your results as well.
Food is medicine. It's everything is in food. And I think if you pay attention, and I think I love about social media is that you can learn a lot of information and follow the right account. I can give you a lot of advice. If you look at the size of the shape of a nut, it's the shape of a brain. So if you eat nuts, it's good for your brain. It's different things like that I can teach you about what you can do to stay healthy. If you think about, keep your immune system strong, and then you perform better. You become much more productive in the way you do work. So if you eat a lot of sugar, trust me, I have a sweet tooth, but I learned to control it now. Much more before. It impacts as well, like your skin, your performance, and everything else. And I guess if people nowadays want to live younger, and want to have a healthier life, and how much cancer comes from food, from food that we choose to eat. I'm very self-conscious of, like you see, I haven't been to the doctor in ages. I only go because I like to sometimes just get my blood tests and so forth like that. Yeah. But otherwise, I haven't been to the doctor in ages just because I pay attention to getting the right nutrition, and it's so important. You can't be a great entrepreneur if you don't look after yourself, and your ability to perform well and just be there, at the time when your employees need you, your clients need you, relies on you looking after yourself first.
And what is your advice to anybody out there listening who needs to start, feels that they want to start improving on their health? Is there any, steps that they can take or anything that they should, start off with doing daily?
Yeah, I think probably first advice is drinking water is a good start. And also I like to use apps as well, health apps to help you monitor what you can do or where you're not getting off track. And I think something like what you can measure and what you track, that's what you can improve. If you don't track, if you want to lose weight but you don't track your food, what you eat or your weight, then you're just guessing. It's not right. Same thing with your money. You need to track what you want to improve. So start by tracking. Do a bit of tracking, not too much, but step by step. So changing habits. So people say, I want to start exercising. For me, exercise regularly, but don't say 5 times a week. Start one time, once a week. Then you add twice a week, and then 3 times a week, and whatever works for you. But start building small habits that you can maintain. Because I think sometimes when people try to do changes, they go, woo, and your brain is overwhelmed. But if you do small bits, like something when you want to work on a project, try to divide it into small steps. One advice I was given, I really like that, is try to take a task that doesn't take more than 20 minutes. I don't know if you heard about the tomato timer.
No, what's that?
It's another app that allows you to just monitor. You don't do tasks more than 20 minutes and then you take a break. 20 minutes and then you take a break. I don't do it all the time, but sometimes it's good to have that. And then it allows you to actually perform much faster. A bit follow based on as well Tim Ferriss and the 4-hour week.
Oh yeah.
The ability to work fast. But so track, if you want to improve things, start tracking what you do right now and see what is wrong. And then start implementing small changes one at a time, but not too many, because otherwise, again, your brain will be like, forget that. It's too much.
No, it's true. Sometimes, you take on too much too soon. Do great for a week. Next week, it's like, nah.
Yes. And I tell you something that's really good is find somebody who can hold you accountable. For example, when it comes to health, like I'm doing a challenge now with my commercial director, so we're very competitive. So really keeping each other on track. So this app, so every Tuesday, like say, this is where we are. So he's trying to reduce his body mass. I'm trying to also increase my BMI, even though I'm technically healthy, but my BMI is still high. I think it's because of muscle mass and stuff like that. But yes, you need to work with somebody who can hold you accountable. That's also very powerful to make sure that you stay on track.
Perfect. No, that's great. Great insight into business in general. Branding and marketing, yourself and health. We now want to go into quick fire round. So it's just, don't worry, it's not scary. It's just 5 questions personalized around, yourself. Yeah. So obviously you like a lot of restaurants, following your Insta. What's your favorite London restaurant?
The Ned. I tell you about the Ned because the Ned was, again, something like when you have an idea, go for it. Because the Ned, when I was 12 years old, was exactly what I wanted to create. So when I went to the Ned the first time, I was like, I should have done it. So I love the Ned.
Could have created the Ned at 12 years old.
I
know. Name one key trend you see growing over the next 5 years within branding and marketing.
With branding and marketing, Hopefully neuromarketing would be good. More
Yeah.
people understanding that. And again, probably the application of experiential marketing.
Okay.
That's something that I'm really much into it. How can you really, people can really live your brand further than that and really grow in community. So experiential marketing.
Cool. And at the top of the show, we talked about a lot of big companies you've advised and worked with, BBC, Facebook, HSBC. If there's one client you haven't worked with yet, but you want to work with, who would they be?
Monzo. Yeah, still
Okay.
on my list. I've approached them already. Don't worry, I'm on it. Me cheeky.
What advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Fear is a liar.
Here's a lie.
Fear is a liar. Don't listen to it. Just do your thing. You got this.
Yeah. And if there's one business out there who you think have the best marketing and business strategy, which you haven't worked with again, who are they?
Oh my gosh, there's so many I like. I don't want to give you obvious like Apple because obviously everybody knows them.
Yeah, everyone knows.
Oh my gosh, what's that really like? Do you know what? Sometimes I look at who people are really good. I look at this young entrepreneur brands as well. They're really good in terms of connecting with community from the start, and that's the kind of people that I really admire what they're doing because they start with their vision. They start with a vision and understanding making an impact. So I like a brand like Pure, for example, is good. It's obviously not in tech, but I like those kind of brands. And brands that like, I don't want to give a big brand because I think they obviously have working on a different budget. But I like, again, I can mention one of the clients that I like King's as well, King's Gym, which is not tech, but yes, brands I like. But I like how the younger brands have started with really engaging their community from the start and driving them to create great product people actually want.
Brilliant. That's fantastic. Where can our audience find you?
Everywhere. Literally everywhere. Yeah. You can find me on LinkedIn, Flavilla Fongang. I mean, it's easy. There's only one that's me. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Instagram if you want to see the cheeky side of me. You can find me on YouTube, whatever. I do a lot of video training. Yeah. A lot of short video called Insight. We like you as well. I have a podcast, Tech Brand Talk. And obviously, if they want, they can always message us on, the information on our website.
Brilliant, that's fantastic. Remember to comment on our podcast as well, like, share, give us your feedback and engage. And great podcast with yourself, Flavilla.
Thank
you. Look
you.
forward to the next one.